So if you don't measure order cycle time, you're guessing at why you're constantly doing emergency buys. And so every stock out, every overnight shipment, every tech waiting on a part traces back to one thing, how long it takes for your supply chain to move. And so if you don't control cycle time, you don't control inventory margin or service reliability. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate exactly that. And if you look at this data set here, you can see a pretty basic data set, just POs. When did you request it? When was it approved? When was your PO created? When did the supplier acknowledge everything? When did they ship it? And when did you receive it? And so all we really need for this is going to be this and this. When did you request it versus when did you receive it? And I mean, really, if you have those two columns and the supplier column, you can do this KPI. Right, and then you could also do it to where you create the heat map and all that stuff I'm going to show you. Okay, so the only thing that we have to calculate is going to be the end of the month and then the order cycle time. Meaning the order cycle time is really simple to do if you have the data. When did you receive the item versus when did you request the item? So you just subtract these two. So I'll show you how to do that. It's just equals received minus request. And you can see that's what we have here. And then the final thing, the other thing we need is the end of the month. And so end of month is EOMONTH from the request date, comma 0. And you want to use a 0 because a 0 is going to give you the end of that month. If you do 1, it's going to give you the end of the following month. So instead of giving you July 31st, it will give you August 31st, right? So we don't want that. We want 0. Okay, so now we have these two columns. I'm going to delete these because I've already done it here. The next thing we need to do is we need to get a unique list of the dates here and a unique list of the suppliers here. So we want to get a unique list of the month. So I'm going to type in unique and then just click here. And what you'll notice is the formula is a little bit different than what you might be used to. Like you might be used to, unique WW, but we don't want that. We want unique month in the table. So this is the table for order cycle time, and I'll show you why. There's a lot of reasons why, but one of them is because the formulas are just a lot easier to understand. And so let me show you. So we want the unique next of the suppliers. So unique table supplier. So we have that. So like what you'll notice is we don't even have to go back into the data set anymore. Like as long as we know the columns, and you can see the columns right here. Once you do the bracket, you can see every column here, right? So you know how to, you'll know like what to use in the formula. So the next thing we need here is we need to sort this alphabetically, or at least I like to sort it alphabetically. So we're going to wrap the unique function with the sort function here. And then the final thing is we want to put this across the top. So we're going to transpose that across the top. So this is the formula here. And then I'm going to copy and then Control-Shift-V to paste. Okay, so to get the number, what we're wanting is we want the median number, not the average, because the median is going to be the middle number. If you're not familiar with median versus the mean from your, intro to stats days, the median is like, say you have a number 1, 2, 10, right? The median is 2, but the average is 13 divided by 3, so 3.67 or something. And so you want to use the middle number because it won't account for the outliers. And so to do that, there is a median function in Excel, but the problem is there's not a median if function. You can do that with array formulas, but there's a new function that makes it easier. So we need the median of only carrier supply and the month of July 31st for this specific cell, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to filter. So in other words, we want any number of the order cycle time where the month is July 31st and the supplier is, whatever the suppliers were. So I'm going to click equals filter, and then here, comma, where the month, and you can do month or supplier in any order, it doesn't matter, where the month equals and it's going to be cell B3 in the other sheet. And then I'm going to multiply this times where the supplier equals C2. And then I'm going to press enter, it's going to have an error. And the reason is because I need to put this in their own brackets. I really don't know why that's the case, to be honest, but that's what's happening here. Okay, and so now you can see you have just any row, you're just getting just that number, and now we can do the median. And now you have the middle number of that range that we just saw. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to drag this over and drag it down. But we can't do that because the cells aren't locked properly, meaning this is carrier supply, but now this is 20. So this is called relative referencing in Excel, and we want to do what's called absolute referencing at the column and the row level. So anywhere you see the blue or the month, you want to put a $sign before the column, which is the letter in Excel, right? Letters are columns and numbers are rows. And anywhere you see the row, you want to put a $sign before the number, after the column, before the row. And this is just before the column, before the letter. And you're good. And then now you need to copy and paste it. If you drag it, it's not going to work. And the reasoning is because the table is changing month. So it should be order cycle time, and now it's going to month, and we don't want that. But that's just the way tables work, and so you can just copy and paste with this. And what you'll notice, if you remember from your stats stage, you'll see some 0.5s here. The reason for that is because there's an even number of results, meaning if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's no middle number, right? So you have to take 2 and 3 and take the average, right? So you get 2.5. And so that's why you see 0.5 in some of these examples. So now we want an overall for the carrier. In other words, for all the parts you ordered from carrier supply, what was the median days? And so you can just copy and paste that formula and just strip out the month section. And then copy and paste that over. And then same thing here. And then here you can strip out the supplier section. And then, which is pretty easy because it's just there at the end. And then you can double click that down. And you can add a decimal if you want. Most of the numbers are going to be whole numbers. And so it's whatever you prefer. I have the top ones with 1 decimal, so I'll do the bottom ones as well. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create this dynamic heat map, right? And so the heat map here is going to change things based on the values, right? And then I'm going to show you just a little thing here that actually gives you, this obviously gives you insights, but this is sort of a check to tell you, like, okay, 13% of all the orders, were received, more than 25 days after they were needed. Okay, so we just want to put, let's just say, the number 25. And so now I'm going to highlight everything, hold down Control and highlight this, and then go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells greater than 25. And then now it's dynamic. 20, 15. And then the final thing I want to show you how to do with this specific heat map is I want to have the word, target or benchmark or threshold, whatever word you want to use. But the problem is that I can't here because this is being stored as text now, and we want this to be a number. So go back to typing in a number, don't press Control tilde, press Control 1. And then the Format Cell dialog box here, what you'll notice is you have custom right here. Go to 0, and then before the 0, type in quotations, and then, again, whatever word you want. I'll use the word target. And then now it's working. So you can see everything's working as expected. And then the final thing I want to show you, well, I guess 2 things. Here I could do an average. If I do an average of the table, and then we do the order cycle time in days, this is the average of the whole data set, right? Sorry, we're not going to want to do an average. We want to do the median, right? 17. And with a lot of data, it's going to be a similar number. the average and the median should be similar. I mean, it depends on the variation, the variance, the standard deviation, like all that stuff that you don't need to worry about. But yeah, so anyways, that's the median. And then one last thing we want to do is let's just create a number here that's going to say what percentage of the orders were greater than 25 or greater than, whatever you change this to here. And the way you do that is you need to count, so equals COUNTIF, and then we'll do the table, and then again we'll do, what was it called? I think, yeah, cycle time days. So we want to count this where it is greater than this number. Actually, I can't. I gotta do greater than and this number. And so 1,726 of the total orders were greater than 20 days. But now we each want to count the number of days. So 5,400, right? So there's 5,400 rows in the data set, and 1,726 of them are over 20. So if we divide those two, so copy that formula and divide, then you get 31%, 32%, and then I'll just copy whatever this said over here. Right. So if you do 25, then you get 13%. So this is just sort of, a quick insight that you can just, something quick to understand. Because like this is the number you're probably really interested in. And then you would also want to add a dollar value to it. But anyways, if you have any questions on this one, just let me know. Questions at Databoards. And if you want this file, there's a link to download it. If you can't find it, just shoot me an email and ask, for hey, can you give me the cycle time data set? And then also, if you need some help, recreating this or recreating any insights or things like that, there's a link to my calendar, or you can just shoot me an email and we can hop on a call that way. But anyways, that's all I got for this one, and I'll see you in future videos.